I have to start this deep dive with a bit of a confession. When I saw the topic come across my desk for this week, I honestly thought there was a mistake.
Okay.
I thought, okay, surely we aren't going to spend 20 minutes talking about kitchen sinks. I mean, the things we use to wash our hands. It felt a little bit like doing a deep dive on, I don't know, drywall or something.
It is deceptive, isn't it? We tend to ignore the infrastructure of our daily lives until it stops working.
Right, until the water is all over the floor.
Exactly. But I think that is precisely why this topic is so fascinating. You ignore the faucet because it works. But the amount of engineering and data and psychology that goes into making you ignore it, it's actually staggering.
And that's what hooked me. I started reading through this research stack you sent over, and I realized we aren't really talking about plumbing. We're talking about a dynasty.
Oh, a dynasty is the perfect word for it.
I'm a big sports fan, and when I see a team win, say, 3 championships in a row, that's a huge deal. But the data we're looking at today shows a winning streak that makes the 90s Chicago Bulls look like, well, like amateurs.
It's a level of dominance in consumer trust that is statistically incredibly rare.
So let's set the stage for everyone. We are looking at the America's Most Trusted Faucet Study by LifeStory Research. And the headline isn't just that people like this one brand.
No, it's much more than that.
It's that this specific brand, Moen, has been ranked the #1 most trusted faucet brand in the U.S. for 11 consecutive years. That's 2016 all the way through 2026.
Which, if you think about the context of those 11 years, is just wild.
Yeah.
Think about how much the world has changed since 2016, how much technology has changed. Consumer loyalty is usually so fickle. A brand is cool one year, and then, a competitor releases some viral TikTok product, and suddenly the old guard is dead.
Right.
But for a single brand to hold that top spot for over a decade, that points to something systemic.
Okay, but I want to push back on this trust concept for a second. Because when I see a study like this, my skepticism radar goes up.
Sure.
Is most trusted, just a fancy way of saying most famous.
Yeah.
Is Moen just winning because they spend the most money on TV commercials during football games?
That is a very fair question, and we see that a lot in best of lists, where it's basically just a popularity contest. But the LifeStory research methodology is specifically designed to filter that out.
Yeah.
They aren't just polling random people on the street. They survey thousands of consumers who are actively shopping for a new faucet.
Oh, okay. So these are people in the trenches. They're standing in the aisle at Home Depot or like scrolling through Amazon reviews at 2 in the morning.
Exactly. These are people who have skin in the game. They are comparing prices, they're reading specs, they're looking at warranties. So when they rank a brand as most trusted, it's based on active research, not just, vague brand recall. They measure perceived quality, reputation, and, this is crucial, the likelihood that you would actually recommend the brand to a friend.
And the score Moen got in the 2026 study, I mean, I don't know the scale perfectly, but 119.0 sounds pretty high.
It is. It's the net trust quotient score. And yes, 119.0 is significant. It was the highest score among all the widely recognized brands in the study.
So what does that number even mean?
Think of it like an IQ score for a brand's reputation. To get a score that high, you can't just have good marketing. You have to have a history of not letting people down.
So if 100 is average, 119 is like the genius level of reliability.
Essentially, yes. It means the positive sentiment just overwhelmingly outweighs the negative. It means that when a consumer sees the Moen logo, their brain instinctively categorizes it as a safe choice.
Which is the mission for this episode. I want to figure out how they did that. How do you take a metal tube that dispenses water and turn it into the most trusted object in the American home?
Right.
Because they aren't the only ones making faucets. The study lists some serious heavy hitters as competitors.
Yeah, to understand the win, you have to look at who they're beating. The study highlights brands like Kohler and Delta, who are consistently fighting for that #2 or #3 spot.
And these are giants.
Oh, absolutely. These aren't small companies.
I feel like I know exactly who the Kohler customer is. Kohler feels like, I don't know, it feels like an art gallery. I see their ads in Architectural Digest. It's very high-end, very sleek.
Precisely. Kohler has done an incredible job positioning themselves as the premium luxury option. If you're building, say, a spa-inspired master bath with marble everywhere, you probably look at Kohler first.
Right.
They lean heavily into design, aesthetics, that high fashion look.
But maybe that works against them for the trust metric. Like if I'm a regular dad with 2 kids and a dog, do I trust a piece of art to survive my kitchen? Or am I worried I'm going to scratch it?
That is the trade-off. Luxury often implies fragility, or at least a price point that makes you a bit hesitant. Then on the other side of that, you have Delta.
Delta always feels a bit more attainable to me.
Delta is a powerhouse.
Huh.
They are known for affordability, and they are very aggressive with new tech things like their Touch 2.0, where you can tap the faucet to turn it on.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
They are a massive player, but the data suggests Moen has found a Goldilocks position right between those two extremes.
The Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold.
Exactly. The source material suggests Moen balances quality, style, and price in a way that appeals to the widest possible demographic. They avoid being so luxury-focused that they alienate the average homeowner, but they also avoid being seen as, a budget brand that might cut corners.
It's the Toyota Camry of faucets.
That's a great way to put it.
It's maybe not the thing you brag about at a cocktail party, but you know it's going to start every single morning for 20 years.
And that heritage matters. Moen has been a top-of-mind brand since 1937. They're part of Fortune brands. When a company has been around that long, it just builds a baseline of familiarity. Generations of people have grown up turning a Moen handle.
1937. That's a long time to be making sinks. But you can't just coast on history for nearly 90 years. If you're still number one in 2026, you have to be doing something new. And this is where the innovation scores in the study really surprised me, because I think of reliable as boring. But Moen is putting some serious tech into these things.
This is a critical pivot point, the transition from just hardware to technology. Faucets used to be purely mechanical, now they're gadgets.
The big feature the study mentions is motion sense, touchless activation. And look, 10 years ago I would have said, who is too lazy to lift a handle?
Right.
But now I get it.
Let's break that down. Why do you get it now?
Okay, picture this. It's Tuesday night. I'm making meatballs. My hands are covered in raw ground beef, egg, breadcrumbs, just a complete biohazard zone. The last thing I want to do is grab the faucet handle and smear salmonella all over the chrome.
The classic meatball hand scenario. It's a classic for a reason.
It's real life.
Yeah.
And then you have to try to use your elbow or your wrist. It's just a mess.
Yeah. And that is exactly why motion sense drives up the trust score. The study notes that these features are rated incredibly highly by busy families. It's not tech for the sake of being cool. It's tech that solves a specific hygiene and convenience problem.
I have dirty hands. I need water.
And Moen solves that without you having to touch a single thing.
It's impressive. But there's another feature mentioned that sounds a bit more aggressive. Power boost, which sounds like something from a video game, like I'm activating power boost.
It does sound intense, but again, it addresses a very common, very real frustration.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to rinse off a plate that has, dried lasagna cheese on it, and the water pressure is just pathetic?
Oh, it's the worst. You're just standing there scrubbing, wasting water, and nothing is happening.
Power Boost is a button that creates a stronger, concentrated spray. It's a force multiplier for cleaning. It's Moen acknowledging that sometimes efficiency is about force. They're giving you control over the pressure.
It's a small thing, but it eliminates a daily annoyance. And then the third one, and this is the one that I actually related to the most, spiritually, is reflex.
The pull-down sprayer system?
Okay, we need to talk about the dangling hose of shame. We've all been to an Airbnb or a friend's house where they have a pull-down sprayer, and when you let go, it just hangs there. It doesn't go back up. It looks like the faucet has given up on life.
It creates this visceral sense of cheapness, doesn't it? When the mechanism fails to return home, the whole product just feels broken.
So how does Moen fix that? Is it just a stronger magnet or something?
It's actually a combination of physics and design. The reflex system uses a specifically weighted hose and a very flexible joint design. So it's not just about pulling it down, it's about the friction or the lack of friction when it goes back up. They've engineered the hose to retract smoothly and dock securely without you having to force it.
See, that's what I mean about the Goldilocks thing. It's not some computer chip. It's just good gravity management, but it makes the user feel like the product is high quality every single time they use it.
And that connects directly to the user-friendly scores in the study. If you have to fight with your faucet every time you wash a dish, your trust in that brand just erodes.
Yeah, for sure.
If it just snaps back into place, you stop noticing it. And as we said, reliability is invisibility.
But all of this, the sensors, the sprayers, the magnets, it's all pointless if the thing leaks. And I feel like we have to pivot to the unsexy part of the deep dive,
Yeah.
the inside of the faucet, the guts.
We absolutely do. Because you can have the best motion sensor in the world, but if the cartridge fails, you have water destroying your kitchen cabinet.
The source material specifically highlights something called a Duralast cartridge. Now, I'm not a plumber. I know a cartridge is the thing inside the handle, but why is this one so special?
Okay, so to understand Duralast, you have to understand how faucets used to be made. In the old days, you had compression faucets. You turn the handle, and it screwed a rubber washer down onto a metal seat to stop the water.
Right, and you had to really crank it to get it to stop dripping.
Exactly. And over time, that rubber would rot or tear or harden, and then you get the drip, drip, drip. It was inevitable.
Whoa.
The Duralast cartridge is different. It uses ceramic disc technology.
Ceramic, like a dinner plate.
Similar material, but engineered to an insane degree. Imagine 2 discs of ceramic that are polished to be perfectly, microscopically flat. They slide against each other. When the holes align, water flows. When they slide past each other, the seal is absolute.
And because ceramic is so hard.
It doesn't wear out like rubber. It handles the friction of turning on and off thousands of times without degrading.
So it's basically diamond hard plates sliding against each other instead of a piece of rubber getting squished.
That is a great analogy. And that is why Moen can offer the limited lifetime warranty that's mentioned in the sources. They cover leaks, drips, and finish defects for as long as you own the home.
Wow.
They aren't doing that out of the kindness of their hearts. They're doing it because the math says the ceramic discs won't fail.
That warranty is a huge psychological safety net. Limited lifetime.
Yeah.
It basically says this is the last faucet you ever need to buy.
And that warranty isn't just for the homeowner. It signals something to the professionals. And this, I think, is the hidden secret to their 11-year streak.
The plumbers.
The plumbers. The report mentions this. Plumbers frequently rate Moen highly for ease of installation and serviceability.
This is so crucial. Think about the power dynamic when you have a plumbing problem. You are vulnerable, you don't know pipes, you call a pro, you ask, what should I get?
And if the plumber says, buy a Moen.
I'm buying a Moen. I'm not going to argue with a guy charging me $150 an hour.
Exactly. And why does the plumber say that? Is it because he loves the aesthetic curve of the spout?
No.
No, he says it because he knows he can install it in 20 minutes without cutting his hands on sharp edges. He knows the parts are standard. He knows he won't get a callback in 3 months because the handle fell off.
It's the mechanic recommendation. If my mechanic tells me don't buy that car, the transmission is a nightmare to work on, I listen.
It is the gold standard.
Right.
And it creates this perfect feedback loop. The manufacturer makes the installer's life easier. The installer recommends the product to the consumer. The consumer has a leak-free experience. The trust score goes up. It is a very, very smart ecosystem Moen has built.
So we've got the tech, we've got the ceramic guts, the plumber's endorsement, but surely, at the end of the day, people also want their kitchen to look good.
Yeah.
We touched on Kohler being the art brand.
Right.
But Moen isn't exactly making ugly faucets.
No, not at all. And the aesthetic versatility section of the study points this out. Moen hits that modern but approachable vibe. They have the matte black finishes, the brushed gold, all the trendy stuff.
Yeah.
But the reviews highlight that the designs fit various home styles.
Which is a polite way of saying it doesn't look weird.
It is. But that's so important. If you buy a super avant-garde angular faucet, it might look great in a showroom, but it might look ridiculous in a standard 1990s suburban kitchen. Moen designs tend to just blend in. They elevate the space without dominating it.
The report mentions some specific models that keep popping up in independent reviews, like from Food and Wine or CNET, the Adler and the Align.
Right. The Adler and Align are basically the celebrities of the faucet world, if such a thing exists. They are frequently top picks for both performance and value. And this is the final piece of the trust puzzle. External validation.
It's not just Moen saying they're good.
No.
It's CNET saying they're good.
So when a consumer does their homework, they see the 11-year LifeStory research streak. Then they ask their plumber, who gives a thumbs up. Then they Google Best Faucet 2026 and see a CNET review praising the Moen Align.
It creates a consensus reality.
At that point, buying anything else starts to feel like a risk.
It really is a perfect storm. I started this thinking it's just a sink, but now I'm realizing how precarious that #1 spot actually is. You have to win on engineering, you have to win on style, you have to win on price, you have to win the plumbers.
And you have to do it every single year. The data shows that even in 2026, they're widening the gap with that 119 score. But Delta and Kohler are hungry. If Moen's quality slipped, if they started using cheap plastic parts inside those cartridges to save a few pennies, that trust would just evaporate in a year.
That's the scary thing about trust, isn't it? It takes 11 years to build and about 11 seconds to break.
Especially with water. One bad leak destroys a floor, and it destroys the brand loyalty right along with it.
So bringing this all back to the listener, if you're out there staring at a leaky faucet right now, or maybe you're planning a renovation and you're just overwhelmed by choices, what's the verdict?
The verdict from the data is very clear. If you want the statistically safe bet, backed by over a decade of consumer consensus and professional endorsement, Moen is the answer. It might not be the flashiest choice in the world, but it is the one most likely to just work.
And honestly, that leads me to my big takeaway from this whole deep dive. We spend so much time obsessing over smart homes, fridges that can tweet, toasters with touch screens. But I think I've changed my mind on what smart really means.
How so?
Well, Moen's success suggests that the smartest technology in our homes isn't the stuff that dazzles us or demands our attention. It's the stuff that we never have to think about.
Invisibility.
Exactly. True reliability means invisibility. If I turn the handle and water comes out and I don't have to think about the ceramic discs or the weighted hose or the plumber, that's the ultimate luxury, the luxury of not worrying.
Trust is silence. It's the absence of problems.
Trust is silence. I love that. A profound thought for a deep dive about plumbing.
The deepest truths are often found in the kitchen sink.
There you have it. Thanks for taking this plunge with us. Next time you wash your hands, maybe give that faucet a little nod of respect. It's working harder than you think. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.